Hi, Mark here. It is Wednesday, August the 19th, just after 8 a.m. Eastern Time, US session now underway. Let's have a look at for starters, the US dollar index. And there you see the downtrend continuing. There's the red candlestick. I've got support at 99.29. I've got resistance at 99.58. And that resistance coinciding with the descending trend line, which I've got in place. That's the level buyers will look up to in an attempt to reverse this sell-off that we've seen so far through the Asian and European session. Relevant support level, this you can see at the 99.23. If I scroll back, this level has acted as a previous resistance level and now strong support level. But these are the levels we'll be looking at now that the US session is underway. If there's going to be a turnaround from weak to strong US dollar and buyers do step in here, they'll be looking up at this intraday resistance and the descending trend line in order to break this, reverse the downtrend that we are now seeing. Sellers will look down to that 99 level if there's a continuation of the sell-off. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. Good hour and a half until Wall Street opens up. We're looking at futures trading for now. Very little activity, a slight bounce, but not much to really see. I've got support at 7,699, 7,700, and I've got intraday resistance at 7,723. Last 3 days, lower highs, lower lows, downtrend in place. EMAs have crossed to the downside. We'll see whether sellers can get back below that 7,700 and push lower, or if buyers do step in, bounce up off this support and looking up at the intraday resistance or push higher. Let's have a look at gold. Big picture for starters, if you take a step back and have a look at this descending trend line I've got in from the beginning of the year, succession of lower highs all the way down to the support at $4,000. $4,000, a very strong support. Sellers unable to break below. Buyers guarded this area, and there's the bounce up we saw, which broke above this descending trend line all the way up to 4,452 is the resistance. Yesterday, gold sold off, looking to bounce back today off this support level. We'll be looking to test or break this intraday resistance at 4,375, looking all the way up at this 4,440 4,452 on the upside. If we get a turnaround and sellers step in, they're going to be looking to break below this 4,325 support level. Brent oil. I know I've got a lot going on here in terms of technical analysis. What I put in is I put in my Fibonacci retracement tool from the high, and that is from the beginning of the year up at 120,000. That's the high we saw after the outbreak of the US-Iran war. Oil being a forward-looking market, worst case scenario expected in terms of supply, distributions, and travel restrictions, and that all the way up to $120 we saw. And then it's been as low since the war started, back down to $70. So that's pretty much a $50, which is huge, a $50 move from that high to that low. Here's the bounce back, and that's what the fib retracement tool does. It measures the bounce or the retracement, how strong it's going to be, and whether it can turn into a full reversal. The most significant level, I believe, being the 50%. So that's 50% of this $50 move. And have a look, it got held up exactly at this. There you can see it. If I measure, that's exactly where it got held up, at the $95 mark. Sellers then did step in, took it back down to this 78, and we're now sitting at that $90 level. If I zoom out that little bit, you can see over the last few days, hanging around that 90 level. Trend for now is up. Buyers looking to break above this 91.60 and test higher. Sellers, of course, looking to break below this 90 level, but the 90 is the comfort zone for now. And like I said, oil being a forward-looking market, it depends whether there is optimism that a deal will be reached, that supply and travel routes will resume. That would lead to the sellers stepping in, red candlestick, getting back below the 90 and looking back down at this 70 level. The other side of the coin, of course, would be pessimism, not being able to reach a deal, and restrictions and supply restrictions, travel restrictions, all playing out, and that premium we saw earlier, and buyers looking back up at that 100 level. But for now, sitting comfortably in this tight range. We'll wait to see how that plays out during the today's trading day. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin remaining flat for now. Tight range. I've got support at 64,000. I've got resistance at 64.7. That's a really narrow $700 range for now. You can see range trading, I think, has been the order of the day here, looking for opportunities to buy on support at around the 62,000 level, sell at resistance around the 64,000, and trading within this narrow 3,000 range for now. Buyers will look to test to break above the 64, 65,000 and push higher. Sellers, of course, will look to get back to that 60,000 level, bounce down off current areas and look back down at the 62,000. We've got our resistance and support levels to work with now. Good trading, and I'll see you at the end of day.